is a brief history of Bucky O'Hare for the Nintendo Entertainment System. It's September of 1991, and Bucky O'Hare and the Toad Wars has aired its first episode. Only a few months later, in January of 1992, Bucky O'Hare released for the Nintendo Entertainment System. It was developed and published by Konami. The game was directed by Masato Migawa, and while this isn't his first time working on a video game, this is his first director's credit. He would later go on to direct and produce hits like Gunstar Heroes, Mischief Makers, Silhouette Mirage, and Radiant Silvergun. So how did he do as a first-time director? Well, reviews for the game were overall positive. Most reviewers praised the game for being fun, but not overly innovating in any particular area. However, I'm inclined to disagree. I think the character-changing aspect with different abilities is really cool and something you didn't see often on the NES. Nonetheless, I seem to be getting ahead of myself. What is Bucky O'Hare for the NES? Well, it's an action platformer made by Konami in typical Konami fashion. It reminds me very much so of something like Mega Man. You travel to different planets or levels, defeat the bosses, and get to play as different characters. The soundtrack, I think, is very catchy. In fact, I think Konami and Capcom probably both had some of the best soundtracks in the NES and Super Nintendo era. And visually, the game looks pretty dang good. I like the sprite work. Looking at the scene with the lava, you can see the platforms they stand on sort of have a reflective light. They could have easily copied this asset from anywhere else in the game, but it looks good. I'd love to talk to you about sales figures, but I don't think there are any. And judging by the current value of the game, I'm willing to wager the sales probably weren't that great. You can see complete copies on average are around $636. That is crazy. Bucky O'Hare would go on to have an arcade game release, which was a 4-player beat-em-up by Konami, later released in 1992, but after that, the franchise in general just seemed to kind of peter out. So there it is. Are you going to help Bucky O'Hare defeat the Toads in the Toad War? Let's see what the others thought on the podcast.
Very
Hello,
well. Very
everybody. Well. Good job on the video, Shadowloose.
Looking great, man. As usual. Thank you guys so much for being here. Great to see you guys, as usual.
As y'all can see, we're talking about Bucky O'Hare this week. This was my pick, which was originally Griff's pick when he was still with us.
Had he originally played this, or was this just a game he kind of saw and wanted to see us play, or play himself?
I'm not sure. Griff? I mean, I think he's played it some. I don't think he ever beat it or anything, but
I had no idea that this was like a high dollar value NES
this game's
title.
Expensive.
Yeah, I saw on that list. Also over here we're here on YouTube, Twitch, and over here on TikTok. Miss Lady Nova is over on TikTok. Thank you very much for stopping in. Hello there, dear.
Hello, everybody. Not just her. Who else is there? Anybody?
For right now, no, just Miss Nova right now. Yep. Yeah, this was I was excited. Well, I'm excited about any of the games that we actually played, but yeah, I've seen a little bit. I had seen a little bit about this beforehand, but never actually tried jumping onto it. But yeah, this was definitely one for the books.
There was a period of time, probably about a year ago, that Sasquatch. He was trying to get everybody to get me to play Bucky O'Hare, and
really,
yeah, like people were like messaging me like play Bucky O'Hare. And I'm like, I'm never playing Bucky O'Hare, and I didn't, and so I put it on the list here. The cool thing about Bucky O'Hare is that he was created by Larry Hama, who also created G.I. Joe.
I can get that from the animation style. It's
the
very
G.I. Joe games, because they had 2 of them for the NES. Which
created G.I. Joe.
Like
the actual the cartoon piece. You know what's funny about it is it's kind of weird. Like it feels like there's a lot riding on this doing well, and I wonder if that was one of those things like coming off the heels. It's like this is a guy who created G.I. Joe. This thing's gonna be a big hit because it's like TV show, NES game, arcade game. You know, there's like serial and other promotion, and it's like nope, 13 episodes and that was it. It's like real quick stint, but. What's so weird about it is this was like one of those shows, you know, we all have that show as a kid that and literally nobody else knows. This was the show for my wife. she knew Bucky O'Hare, and she's like was angry at me that I didn't know what Bucky O'Hare was, and I'm like, I don't know your 13 episode niche cartoon from the 90s. It's like,
well, then where is she at? She should be here talking about Bucky O'Hare.
She should be. I told her she should have played this game. I almost wanted her to play it, but I'm glad she didn't, because I have some decent positive things to say about it. So
yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the game, obviously, but
yeah,
I knew I was going to, because I'd played it a little bit before. But let me tell you guys, this game gets really hard.
Oh yeah,
like after you, even like some of the planet levels are really hard, but after you get past the planets, like the magma core or magma center or whatever it is, and stuff like that, it's tough.
Yeah, I had to with the last two levels, after you save everybody, and then you have to basically start going through the ship to pick them back up. Dude, yeah, some spots, like I think I had to continue at least on that last level probably about 10 times. But it was like the more you go, the more times you do it. It's just there's just certain spots where it's like either you're gonna do really well or you're really gonna rage. So
I streamed the planet levels of this game. And man, the part on the red planet where you're running from the fire down.
Yes. Oh my god.
That part took me like 20 tries.
Yeah.
And people were like, somebody in my chat said before there was Dark Souls, there was Bucky O'Hare.
Yeah, dude. I'm telling you. As soon as I got to that spot, I'm thinking about, because I know you commented, you said, Shadowlose, please play the Red Planet on live. And I'm like, here we go. Something is going to happen. As soon as I got to that spot, I'm like, this is what he's talking about.
While I was streaming, there were parts where I was like, oh, Shadowlose is going to hate this. And I was like telling people, I'm like, Shadowlose is going to hate this part. Shadowlose is going to hate this part. And that was one of the parts where I'm like, Shadowlose is absolutely going to hate this part. Yeah, and the parts where like you'll be walking and the floor will disappear.
All of a sudden,
you'll fall through. I was like, oh, Shadowlose will hate these.
Well, you know what? So much of it, like, honestly, would it be? It's really weird. There's a really weird balancing issue, because like enemy damage is actually like really low. Like if you get shot by an enemy or whatever, like it barely hurts.
I noticed it chips away a little bit. Yeah,
it chips away, but then it's like everything else is a one-hit insta-death.
Yes.
It's like, wait, why? Like, why?
Spikes are insta-death. There's that one enemy that throws the boulder. I mean, obviously, insta-kill,
Yeah.
It's like, oh, man, here we go.
So there's a lot of, like, little weird decisions like that I was like, why? Why you do that? But, I don't know. Maybe I will stream this, because I didn't stream this during the week or whatever. But and I obviously didn't beat it. But I was going through. My main concern was going through the planets, because originally you're like, yeah, there's 4 planets. I'm like, I can do 4 planets. And then after that, I was kind of like, oh man, there's more to this. And I didn't have time. But just even playing through what I did, I mean, first impression, to be completely honest, with as much variety as there is in this game, from like shmup style levels to like auto scrollers to like just regular traditional platforming, it's honestly a really impressive game for the NES. Like it borderline feels like a Super Nintendo game on the NES. And I think if you were to literally take the entirety of this game and reskin it and put it on the Super Nintendo, like it would pass as a Super Nintendo title.
Well, towards the end of the NES's life cycle, the games started to feel like that. And this came out in 1992, which is 2 years after the Super Nintendo launched. So it doesn't surprise me that this actually felt more Super Nintendo-y, because that's how they started. Like
they were using that feel, still making the NES stuff. Yeah.
Like this very well could have been a Super Nintendo game.
Yeah.
And probably just had to update the graphics. But
well, you know what? That's what's even crazy about it too. I'm trying to think of another one that like really compares, but visually, this is a really good looking game for the NES as well.
Like, and the controls really well.
Oh yeah, the controls are very clean.
It's very reminiscent of like Darkwing Duck. How good that was.
Exactly what. As soon as I started playing this, I'm like, this feels exactly like Darkwing Duck. It's so fresh.
Yeah. I mean, it controlled well. The graphics were good. The music sounded good. My only real complaint is there were some cheap tricks in there.
Oh, for sure.
Just like other games we played where like you'll have to jump from platform to platform, but the platforms like disappear and reappear and all that stuff.
That one part that was in his opening video with the things coming in, every single location that was in for this game, I lost probably like 8 to 10 lives at least, and there was only a couple spots with that, but it was like so crazy, dude, absolutely crazy.
Yeah,
but can we also talk about well, for one, the one thing that I did want to bring up for sure is that there is a continue.
Mm-hmm. There's a continue, and then there's passwords, which is amazing because if you didn't have those passwords, man, there is no way I would have beaten this.
And and that's why.
We got like 9 people watching on TikTok. Guys, we do this every Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're not following us already, go ahead and drop us a follow. That way you can stay up to date on the games that we're playing. Here in about, I don't know, 30-ish minutes, we'll find out what we're playing next week. I already know, but these guys don't. So,
yep,
that's exciting.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for being here. Appreciate it. Give us a like, share, a follow. If you're following us, you'll get notifications anytime we go live, as well as anytime we drop a new video, as Slow-Mo said. Soundtrack of this, top tier for me. You guys know I'm all about the music in these games. I was playing some of these levels and I'm thinking, man, like I'm like in my feels for this level, dude. Like this song is, great,
Yeah, Konami, I said it in the opening video, Konami and Capcom are like the kings of soundtrack when it comes to the NES. And even going into the Super Nintendo, like I think they probably have some of the best soundtracks of all time. And this game was no exception to that at all.
This was definitely, it was definitely reminiscent a little bit. There was a couple times coming through here, I can almost kind of hear. I can't remember if we talked about. I can't remember who did it. It might have been Konami. It might not have been Konami, or maybe Capcom. I started hearing a little bit of Power Blade 2, and I'm like,
I was gonna say that. Yeah, it did feel very kind of Power Blade 2.
A little bit, but I mean the soundtrack was,
wasn't it Power Blade 2 like some weird like Taito or some weird developer,
something like that? Yeah, Taito, I think did it. Yeah, but it was very, very well done. I was very happy with that.
Why are you saying Mega Man X is greater than Donkey Kong Country?
Because it was Taito that did Power Blade 2. He just says Mega Man X is better than Donkey Kong Country soundtrack wise because there's a big debate. The big debate on.
Oh, okay.
I like Donkey Kong Country. Specifically DKC 2.
That's such a hard comparison. Out of like
really
the most difficult, like if you had a gun to your head and you had to make a decision, I don't even know what you might have to pull the trigger. I don't know if I could decide on that.
But I feel like if you had a gun to your head to recognize a song, it would be more easy to recognize like Aquatic Ambiance than it would be like Storm Eagle Mega Man X. Like you hear Aquatic Ambiance, you're like, oh yeah, that's for sure Donkey Kong Country. You hear, I mean, you could maybe guess Mega Man X, but I don't, like, with the exception of Griff because he plays it every day. I think all 3 of us, we would be able to recognize Donkey Kong Country over Mega Man.
Donkey Kong Country does have a very unique sound for games on the Super. Like, I can't think of another title that sounds like that, with the exception of Donkey Kong Country 2 or 3. Mega Man X has that, like, it's like that kind of like awesome, like heavy metal, like techno-y thing, and it's really good for Mega Man. Like, don't get me wrong, it's phenomenal. But like, you could probably pair it up with a couple other games on the Super Nintendo, and it would work just fine too. So I don't know. I don't even know why we're debating this.
We're not playing either of those games right now.
Right. Real quick on that topic before we change back. Lady Nova over on TikTok says, "I'm a Mega Man soundtrack girl." Absolutely.
There you go. I didn't know there were such things as Mega Man soundtrack girls, but I'm glad that clique exists out there somewhere. I'm glad you're a part of it.
We have a lot to say about this game because, I feel like anytime a game that we all agree is very good, we have a lot to say about it.
That's true,
even more so than when a game we're just like, oh, we hate this game, and then we're like, okay, what do we talk about?
Yeah, it's really easy to say you hate a game, and that's it.
But we're already 20 minutes in, so we really got to get to some gameplay footage. So I'm going to go ahead and fire up Freedom.
Sweet. Yes. So yes, as we already talked about it, this game was from my personal opinion, absolutely phenomenal. It was very clean. The platforming was very, very clean. Like I said before, I was very happy with it. Very reminiscent of Darkwing Duck. These bosses were. It's just like a lot of the other games that we've played for NES. At least it's literally you figure out what the weak point is, the weak spot is, and then you just follow their movement patterns. A lot of these platformers back in the day were all movement patterns. Every single level was completely special. Like, that right there, the fire, dude. Like I said, I had to showcase that. I got all the way down almost to the very end so many times, and it was just like, okay, guess what? Hey, you got to run all the way over on this side. It's just like, no, dude, you can see me shaking my head.
That so, for how fast it is insane.
Fast. It is fast.
So fast.
Watching somebody else play it, you're like, oh, I could do this. And then you try it, and you're like, I don't know what I was thinking.
Right. So, I just did a couple bosses on here as well. And, like I said, each level was done very well. It had different feelings with it. I like the fact that you had so many different characters, the 4 different characters you can use. I found myself using this guy, what's his name? Deadeye, right? Or whatever his name is. I used him. There's so many different spots where, like you said, there would be cheap shots for, like that right there. Gosh. I was dropping down, and it's like, hey, guess what? Come back and hit you.
Yeah.
It's just, oh, man. There was so much rage in some of these levels, but it was an enjoyable game all the way around. I would definitely consider playing this on stream. Again, I didn't stream it this time around, but I could definitely see myself, getting angry and playing this. Like this spot right here, like a lot of these cheap shots that they had in the game. But it was very well done. Like I said, I enjoyed. At the end of the game, there was a little bit of a
cheap shot.
Right. At the end of the game, there was a side-scrolling shoot 'em up spot, which was even in itself was pretty difficult, but enjoyable as well. You go through a couple times. I think every NES game has to have a shoot 'em up section somewhere. But overall, I really thought that this game was pretty amazing all the way around. You pretty much figure out what the movements are. You go for it. These are the games that pretty much separated the boys from the men, really. This last boss, dude, you literally had to have almost pinpoint accurate movements, or else you're going to just keep getting hit, or he's going to run into you. But yeah, overall, I was really, really happy with this game. I could definitely see myself playing this again, multiple. Yeah. So, and that's pretty much it, the final spot. And you see, look, I didn't even see myself do that. You saw myself take a huge ass, breathe in after I beat him. I'm like, oh my God, finally.
I also want to point out that for an NES game, this game is actually pretty long.
It is.
A lot of the
eight
long
levels?
plays. Yeah. Well, not only that, but a lot of the long plays that you watch for NES games are 30 to 45 minutes. This one's over an hour.
Yeah.
I think it's an hour and 1 minute for the long play. And that's those are videos of people playing straight through the game, no deaths.
Yeah.
So that's a long game.
And I guarantee if you've never played this before, there's no way you're beating it in that time.
Right.
Right. I mean,
it's not a cruise through game.
It took me probably 3 hours, 4 hours.
Yeah.
Off and on, yeah.
I think it was actually 4 hours that my video lengths were, but I take breaks when I play. I'll play for 30, 45 minutes and I'll pause and get up and go.
Yeah, I definitely use the passwords a little bit on this one. Especially like I said on those last 2 levels, so many different cheap shots, but then it was like, okay, well, now that I see this and how they do this, I know how to get past this. Now let's move on to the next cheap shot. So yeah, but very, very enjoyable.
I beat it in 2 sittings.
Okay.
I streamed for an hour the first night, and then the next day I played for probably 2 or 3 hours, and then I beat it.
Nice.
A lot of times for me, it's easier to get the game knocked out early in the week, just because of time constraints. If I don't get the game knocked out by Thursday, I'm not going to beat the game probably. So, I mean, it's just reality. After Thursday, my week is so booked up that like have zero time to do anything.
Right. Oh yeah, especially being in the restaurant business, I completely understand that.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and show mine then. Everybody that's watching, cover your ears. If you're wearing headphones, turn your volume down.
Roll them.
2, 1. So I wanted to showcase my favorite platforming sections on each level. I picked one from each level, and then I showed a little bit of each boss fight. They did so many different elements in this game as far as the platforming goes. Like, you got this snake area, like Battletoads and stuff, but as far as like
that's a Mega Man
free
thing
fall,
too.
Yeah, the free fall thing that they did. They had the side-scrolling shooter. Look, I just want to show you.
I love that both of you had to include that.
I want to show you right here. Once you get down that hill and you have to turn like all the way over and then run all the way back.
Makes you run, dude.
I would turn too soon, and I would always run right into the fire.
Yep.
Yeah.
This part reminded me of Power Blade. I don't know why.
A little bit, yeah.
But every boss fight is different and unique. They're not easy.
This part, man, I completely forgot about this spot.
So many different things that they did in this game, and I think it was very well done. You can tell they took their time with it and cared about what they were making. And I mean, it was obviously Konami. Konami doesn't really miss, especially not back in the NES, Super Nintendo era. Konami was full of bangers.
Yeah.
This reminded me of Rocket Knight, because there's that level in Rocket Knight where you have to fight the ship, and it moves around and all that stuff. So that's what this reminded me of.
Okay.
Everybody knows I love Rocket Knight.
Yeah.
But I showed the whole boss fight, because why not? It takes like 45 seconds. So if you're
that little spot right there, it gives you, man. It's like, man,
that little area where you have to like fly along the ship and still dodge.
Yeah.
If you don't have at least one of those guns knocked out beforehand,
you're
done.
You're loaded up. Yeah.
Yeah. And I did it like, if you get game over, you can have full life and full power, but if you get game over, you lose your life meter. It goes back down to the standard. So that's what happened to me, and I struggled because I had no life bar. I had like half the full bar. And
I still argue I'd rather have that happen and have the ability to continue than
for sure.
Like,
I don't
continue.
I don't want it. I mean, I like the fact that I could continue as many times as I wanted because I needed to. But actually, in my opinion, this might have been the easiest boss in this game.
You think? Okay.
This was not that hard.
I definitely lost a couple of them. Yeah. Yeah, man. I definitely lost a couple lives on this dude.
I did too, but not as many as some of the other ones. Like, he wasn't that robot where you had to shoot the bottom out.
I noticed you keep going underneath. I didn't go underneath. That's probably one of the reasons why I had such a hard time, because when he comes down, even when he goes to throw the ball, that's another thing you have to dodge. So going underneath, that's actually a lot better than what I did.
Yeah, and like
I can see you were on your last life there too.
Oh, for sure. I was on my last life a lot because I continued about 30 times probably.
So that, now that you say that about the lives and the power-ups, that was one of the things I did notice, that they had plenty of extra lives and extra power-ups throughout each level, to where it gave you plenty towards the end, to where if you really ran through this like 2 or 3 more times, you could probably do better, because it gives you so many more power-ups and extra lives and extra life bars mostly when you need it. So I was very happy about that as well.
What's interesting is I was looking through some just various, I was trying to find like a quiz for Bucky O'Hare, but I found a piece of trivia on GameFAQs of all websites. You talk about relics. But it says, in this game, there's a bit of copy protection, as with most NES games by Konami after 1991, but this is a special instance of it. It says the game will check that it has the string IMAN-OK or IMAN-OK, depending on how you spell it, 1991 in its ROM data, and also test a number of OC codes. If any of these fails, the game will actually automatically enable its hard mode without the use of a password. So basically, if you steal it and it doesn't have that data in it, it'll just make the game even harder. It'll make it only playable on hard mode. which is interesting. I can't think of another game. I mean, this is the first I've heard of this, but I can't think of another game that's done that.
What you're saying is don't buy fake copies of this game.
Yeah, that's
Oh, wow.
Maybe that's why the OG copy is so expensive.
Because if you buy a repro, it's just unbeatable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
so that's interesting. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is.
Oh.
Looks good. Looks good. Do we want to rank this baby?
No.
No. I think he's got it set for us anyway.
Yeah. As you can see, I have strategically placed this game in the A column. That is not an indicator of how I feel about the game, but I give it an A. I think, we haven't really had anything negative to say about it.
Right.
So, A is a good spot because I don't think it's quite S tier. Especially, I don't think it's better than, Donkey Kong Country 2 or Celeste. So, I'm not going to put it in the S tier, but I definitely would give it.
Yeah.
Do you want some next for him, or you want me? Who do you want?
Either one doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Who's gonna be the bomb drop? Who's gonna be the bomb drop review? So here's the thing. There's a lot about this game to appreciate. I know I always have a tangent. I got to go on real quick, but I need to make sure my point is my review is gold. You know what I mean? It's I gotta justify it. So here's the thing. It's visually, this game's great. Sound wise, the game's awesome. I love the character change ability. You don't really see that in too many other titles. The IP Bucky O'Hare in general, I don't really care about. That doesn't really mean anything to me. So that's not extra special in my heart. But I loved the variety in the game, the different types of levels, even just from a aesthetic standpoint, but then the fact that there's the shmup stuff in there, there's kind of the falling or rising kind of levels, whatever you want to call them, as well as the regular platforming. There's just a lot to see and do in this game, which is not a thing that typically happens in NES titles. So I like a lot of those things. The one thing, in my opinion, well that and continues, the fact that there's continues is fantastic. And I think there are infinite continues, right? There's no you only have 5 continues left.
Yeah.
Infinite continues, amazing. Should be in every video game. Well, I don't even think live should be in games. You should just be able to play things as long as you want. Here's the problem. The instant death stuff sucks. It sucks hard. It is the worst part of this game, and it is absolutely unfortunate there is so much of it in this title. Whether it's pits, spikes, lava, boulder, whatever. The fact that you enemies do so little damage, but then you get hit or accidentally touch one of these things and you instantly kills you, that sucks. And for that reason, this game is in the A category for me. It's definitely an A to A plus range. It's not a soft thing. It's hard A plus for me. Couldn't quite break that S rank barrier, and I'm surprised I'm even ranking an NES title that high, to be honest with you. I can't think of another NES game I would do that with.
I almost went into this ranking it an S just so when you ranked it low, it would still hit A.
Oh my god, I'd be out of here. I feel like this whole thing's rigged.
I thought about it. I thought about rigging the election.
I'd be done.
So you're saying A, Shadowlose?
I would say it is a hard,
a solid
A.
A.
It's not a half chub A. It's a hard A.
Gotcha. Well, I was going to, depending on what I said, is depending on how high you guys went, because I would be completely fine putting in this as an S rank, even though the insta kills on certain spots and some of the cheap shots are there. Other than that, we've all had nothing but positive stuff to say about this game. It was enjoyable. Like I said, the soundtrack was amazing. I'm huge on soundtracks in games. The movement was very clean. The fact, like you said, Shadowlose, you had 4 different characters to use, and each character had their own abilities. There's plenty of power-ups in this game. If you go through a couple times and you kind of get used to a little bit more of the cheap shots and knowing how to deal with those pitfalls, I feel like it could be one of them ones that people can kind of play regularly. like I said, I would have been fine with setting it up as an S. Definitely an A for me. So I would definitely say A sounds good to me. Absolutely, all the way around.
It's a very high A for me.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, but
absolutely.
I don't feel like I can quite push it into the S category.
Gotcha.
It's just not
like I said, I'm cool with the A. Absolutely.
You know,
I wish more NES titles were this good. Absolutely.
I wonder what we're gonna run into that we just F bomb. You know,
one of these days we're gonna hit.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I mean, it's
I think it'll hit that. Good.
Well, no. I was just gonna say, I think it's crazy that I would ever rank an NES title like this high. So that's like shocking for me in general. Just because it didn't make S doesn't mean like not playable. Well, I'm just I don't know. Griff is maybe razzing on me or something, but
I mean, even the A category, like it's in really good company.
Oh yeah,
A category with like Metal Gear Solid and Donkey Kong Country 2 and Mega Man X4 and Metroid Fusion. Like it's up there in like A is not like something that we even throw around very often. You know?
Right.
Well, and that's kind of one of those things too, is that it's like you were just saying like this is really good for like an NES title, and that if more NES games were like this, I would probably like the NES more. And I grew up with an NES. But man, the NES has a lot of like
bombs,
basic bitch stinkers too. You know, it's like it's not the most phenomenal console of all time. There's a lot of developers just struggling to figure things out. You know, taking risks, which is always good. But it's like, how do you get a slam dunk like this out of nowhere? The guy that directed this, he literally had like 2 other titles under his belt before he got to this, and he worked on it. He developed them. One of them was a Castlevania Game Boy game.
Okay.
And so it's like he had 2 things, and then he goes to direct this and makes something this awesome. Like I don't know how you do that, but he clearly had something in his back pocket that he was ready to use. You know, yeah. There you go.
Sounds good. Definitely. Do we have any? Oh my God, Griff says Chacon would have been an F for sure.
It probably would. Like
that probably would have been our
past
first F. Absolutely,
that was past
dude.
F because we could not continue to play the game.
Dude, we couldn't.
And I don't even think
that at the time.
I don't even think that game's broken enough for an F. There was no way that we were going to make any progress in that game. Like that's a game you're going to have to dedicate some time to, and a week isn't going to be it.
And that's one of those games where you're going to have to recognize and know where all of the horrible jumps are, going into it knowing the controls are absolute trash.
It's one of those games where you're gonna have to beat part of it, start over, get through that, beat another part, start over, and just keep playing through until you.
I think Griff
play
definitely
that game from start to end.
Yeah. So, do we have any trivia or anything extra for this game before we move on?
It's up to you guys. I do have trivia, 10-question quiz if you actually want to do trivia.
Let's do it.
We can give it a shot, yeah.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I have no idea how difficult it is. I did not pre-vet these questions, so we'll see how well we do here. Question number 1. I think this one's pretty easy. It says, in Bucky O'Hare for the NES, every character has an individual special move. Whose is to jump very high? Odo, Bucky O'Hare, Seska, or Mr. Spock? I'm pretty sure
Bucky O'Hare.
Yes.
He jumps like really high. Once you get that
He's the only
all the way up. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
On the level select screen, one of the 4 planets has some moons that orbit around it. Which planet has moons that orbit it? The green planet, red planet, blue planet, or yellow planet?
I'd say the yellow.
I don't think it's the yellow.
It was in the
small one.
Yellow's so big and takes up too much of the screen. I would almost think probably green planet.
Well, I would say
it's real small.
If it's the one that I'm thinking of, it's the one on the bottom right because
isn't that yellow?
I don't know. It might have been yellow. So one of the things I actually was doing when I was sitting in the planet select screen for a split second, and I noticed, and I know this for sure because I sat there for probably a good 3 minutes, and this is how ridiculous I am. I was looking at the moons, and I'm thinking to myself for a split second, and this is how crazy it was. I wonder if each moon actually has a different time frame of how long it goes. And I sat there for like 3 minutes. No, they do not. They all go around the same speed. So I literally watched the moons for a split second. So I'm pretty sure it's the yellow planet.
So you're telling me they didn't take in real life astrophysics?
I was thinking maybe one goes faster than the other, and eventually all three of them are going to come around at the same time. Nope, every single one of them.
You know what? If I had even noticed that, I would have done the same thing.
For a split second, and that's something ridiculous, so ridiculous as it was.
I did it with the clock and Alien.
Test
those systems, right? You got to figure that stuff out. So, okay, I'm gonna go with yellow planet because I think yellow's
if the bottom right-hand corner is the yellow, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll go with that. All right. Question. All right, here. Let's see. Yellow planet. Each planet is divided into a number of acts. Which planet has the most acts? Is it red? Does red has a lot?
Red does have a lot.
I think green and blue have the least. Red has a lot and yellow has a lot. I think we can guess red.
All right.
I would say either red or yellow because my thing is I feel like
yellow felt very long.
It did feel very long. I was thinking each one had more acts as you go. So I would say red. If you guys are saying red, I'm cool with going with red, but I really feel like yellow might have been the longest.
We have never enacted this on this podcast, but there is a hint button next to these questions, which I've never noticed before. We could phone in. Do we want to phone in a hint? I say we deserve one hint per quiz. Should we do it here or hold it out?
I feel like we need to. I think we need to hold on to it because what if we get a question?
Okay,
let's just go with yellow. Let's go with yellow.
Okay, we go with yellow. Okay,
yellow was the biggest planet. Obviously, it should be the biggest level.
Okay, there you go. Question number 4. To return to a point in the game after it has been turned off, a password must be entered. The password has 5 spots. A character can be inserted into each one. How many different types of characters can be inserted into each spot? I have no idea. I didn't enter a password once.
Oh, man.
You got every letter, every number, and like special characters and images.
Man.
And special characters? Okay, so here's the answer.
Yeah, there's like actually one that's a picture of Bucky O'Hare.
Okay,
it's his little like life symbol, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the answers. 12, 26, which is the number of alphabet letters, 42, and 36. So it's got to be that 36, 42 range.
It's going to be 42 because 36 would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
So that would be 36. That would have no special characters. So I'm going 42.
Okay, 42.
I'll say 42.
That is very logical answer of you. Okay, question number 5. On the green planet,
everything.
Yeah. On the green planet, there comes a part where there is water at the bottom of the screen. There are branches on which one must jump. How many branches fall when touched? Oh, it's like I know what it's talking about.
I think it's 2.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's not many. There's not many.
It's 2 or 3. I'm gonna go with 2.
So the answers are 4, 2, 3, and 5. So we're saying 3. It's 2. It is 2 or 3.
I don't know. 2 or 3. Whatever one you decide.
I really feel it's 2, but I'm not sure.
You might be right.
I kind of think it's 2 as well. Okay, we'll go 2. 2 it is. 2 it is. Question number 6. There are solid green tokens which can be obtained giving points. They look like power or 1-up tokens, but have nothing on them. How many points are awarded for obtaining a blank green token? I have no idea.
I didn't pay that much.
What are the?
I thought that was an actual power up.
I feel like it's probably like 100 or 1,000 or something.
It's more than that. Okay, so here are the answers: 6,000, 4,000, 5,000, or 3,000. So 3, 4, 5, or 6,000 points.
I would guess
blank.
3.
If it's blank, it's got to be 3. It's
I would say 3. Yeah.
I would say either like 3 or 5. But I say we use our hint.
Yeah, we could.
Okay, I'll use it. Let's see what it says. Ooh, so it does a 50-50. So it removed 4,000 and 5,000. So there's a 3,000 and 6,000 are our options now.
All right, I'm going 3.
I'd say 3.
Okay, for a blank, I would think blank is the low one. I'll say 3 too. Okay, so there's our hint. It's gone. All right. Question number 7. Like many games, when Bucky O'Hare is turned on, if no buttons are pushed, screens appear with different characters in different stages. Which character is shown second on which planet? Oh, gosh, I don't know.
I'm going to guess Blinky on the ice planet.
So let me give you the answers. There's
Deadeye. Blinky? Which one's Deadeye? Deadeye is the one that crawls on the wall, right?
Yeah.
Or no, which one is...
But they tell their planets. So there's Deadeye on the yellow planet, Bucky on the green planet, Ginny on the red planet, or Blinky on the blue planet. I think it is the blue planet.
I think it's
Blinky on blue.
Yeah. How do we
I
know
feel like
that?
blue planet is
I think it
like
almost shows the snakes.
Yeah,
I think it shows the snakes, yeah.
I hope that piece of information leaves my brain the moment we're done with this podcast, because there's not enough space in my head to keep something like that.
He's going to remember it forever now.
I hope not.
This is going to come
Truly, I hope not.
10 years down the road, and he's going to know the answer. He's like, I remember that from...
Oh, geez. Yeah, I'll be in my rocking chair telling my great-grandkids about the demo screen on the start of Bucky O'Hare for the aliens. All right, okay, question number 8. On the red planet, there comes a part which is one of the hardest parts in the game. It's a sort of race where the character must fall and run down stone steps to get to the bottom. At the same time, these yellowish lava flows come out of the walls. How many lava flows come out of the walls? Oh, geez, I don't know how we would know this. 11, 13, 14, or 15?
I'm going 15 because it felt like
streams?
Way more than that.
Yeah, there's a lot.
There was a lot.
And that's a long level. That's a long section of level. I'm going 15.
Screw it. We'll do 15.
All right, 15. I won't argue with that. There's no way I could have had a guess that's any more right or wrong than the others. Okay, 2 left. Question number 9. On the blue planet, different things can be found on the ice blocks. Which is found in the first ice block with anything in it? A points token, a 1-up, a power token, or a toad?
It's a points token.
You know that you
sound I destroyed every ice block.
Okay.
Because I was like, I'm going to destroy every ice block.
There were enemies in
them.
There's 2 sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, I destroyed every ice block until I found something, and it was a points token.
Nice.
Okay, all right. I'm going to take your word for it. We are on to the final question here. Question number 10. At the very beginning of the game, during the plot and story time before play starts, it shows the planets where Blinky, Willy, Ginny, and Deadeye are held. In the picture depicting Ginny on the blue planet, there are ice blocks to the right. How many ice blocks are there? I would have no idea. This is ridiculous.
No clue.
2, 7, 17, or 20?
How would you know that?
I'd say 7, yeah.
7 seems like a conservative answer, and yet again, I will pick it because, I don't know. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and submit our answers. Let's see what we ended up with. Okay, here we go. Question number 1 in Bucky O'Hare for the NES. Every character has an individual special move. Who is to jump very high? Bucky O'Hare was the correct answer, and we picked that. Only 64% of players answered that correctly. How could you not answer that correctly? Idiots. Question number 2. On the level select screen, one of the 4 planets has some moons that orbit around it. Which planet has moons that orbit it? We answered yellow. Yellow is the correct answer.
Good job.
Question number 3. Each planet is divided into a number of acts. Which planet has the most acts? We answered yellow planet. The correct answer was blue. So we got that one wrong.
Really?
Ooh.
Yeah.
I feel like the blue planet was short.
I feel like, well, besides the snakes, I feel like it was really short too.
That's
crazy.
There it is. Yep.
There you go. Yep.
To return to a point in the game after it's been turned off, a password must be entered. The password has 5 spots. A character can be inserted into each one. How many different types of characters can be inserted into each spot? We answered 42, and believe it or not, Slow-Mo's logic paid off because we got that one correct.
Nice.
So,
big brain.
I've used it for something today, huh? On the green planet, there comes a part where there is water at the bottom of the screen. There are branches. Which one must jump? How many branches fall when touched? We answered 2. The correct answer was 4. I never.
Really?
Nope. I didn't think that.
It may be because you see that log and you jump down and you float down the river.
Yeah.
It says there are 2 that fall on the first part of the act, 2 that fall on the second part of the act. So they're all in the same act, but they're kind of split up. So
okay.
All right. Question number 6. There are solid green tokens which can be obtained giving points. They look like a power 1-up. Tokens have nothing on them. How many points are awarded for obtaining a blank green token? This is where we used our 50-50, and we got it correct at 3,000 points. Question number 7. Like many games, when Bucky O'Hare is turned on, if no buttons are pushed, the screen appears with different characters, different stages. Which character is shown in the second part? Or on the second and which planet? We answered Blinky on the blue planet. That's not correct. The correct answer is Ginny on the red planet.
Oh,
how we ever would have guessed that?
You want to know something? right now, just as you were reading that question, I was like,
he sees it.
No,
he sees
it was
in his
fucking
mind.
Jenny.
Yep.
I did.
He
I
sees
saw
it
it in my brain as you were talking about it just now when you were reading that question.
Your
I was like,
mind's
it's
eye
wrong.
just opened up. And,
It did.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, we're wrong. It was not.
Okay. Well, we got that wrong. I think we're still above average, though, so we should be okay. Let's see. Number 8, on the red planet that comes apart. Yep, a lot of lava, yellowish lava. How many lava flows come out of the wall? We answered 15. The correct answer was 13, so we were off by 2. Says the lava flows bring instant death to anyone who touches them. It is not recommended that they be touched. Well, thank you. Thank you for that tidbit, whoever entered in that quiz there. 2 more questions left. On the blue planet, different things can be found in the ice blocks. What is found in the first ice block with anything in it? We answered points token. That is correct.
Told
so
you.
Thank you, Slow-Mo, for paying attention. Question number 10. At the very beginning of the game, during the plot and the story time before play starts, it shows the planets where Blinky, Willy, Ginny, and Deadeye are held. In the picture depicting Ginny on the blue planet, there are ice blocks to the right. How many ice blocks are there? We answered 7. 7 is correct. I don't know how we guessed that, but
so my guess was 2 doesn't seem like enough. 7 seems 7. The rest seem like way ridiculous.
Way too many. Nobody would ever count that.
Yeah,
nobody would know that. Yeah,
right.
7's right in the middle. So we scored a 6 out of 10. And it says the average score for this quiz is 5 out of 10. So yet again, the First Round Showdown podcast is above average. And
above average. Got it.
Shape and form.
Got it.
Our brains combined, we're just above average. So there you have it.
You guys know what time it is, though.
Yeah,
trivia time is over, and now it is time for the wheel. I got to.
Well.
You saw it here first, guys.
Oh yeah.
How do you even pronounce it?
Phalanx.
It's phalanx.
Phalanx.
Phalanx. Yeah, like in typical Roman is a phalanx. It's the formation of, but I'm excited to play this.
It's a Super R-Type knockoff.
It is not.
What system is this for?
It's Super Nintendo.
Okay.
It is. Yeah. It is a shmup, and it is 10 trillion times better than Super R-Type. I don't care who you are. I'm definitely excited to make an informational video for this because there's a really interesting history on the cover art for this game. Somebody has a whole written oral history on the cover art of this game, which is just bonkers. Nice. But it is really fun. It is not an instant hit and you're dead kind of shmup. You have 3 hits. You can actually change the speed of your ship. So if you don't like moving super fast on the screen, you can slow it down. There's secret entrances and exits to levels, meaning while you're playing a level, there are different ways to get out of it. Bosses can be pretty tough, but what's kind of cool is a lot of the bosses are like you can destroy appendages on the box or on the bosses. There's a lot of great stuff. So yeah, I don't know if you want to roll some footage, DJ.
I want to know what the continued situation likes on this game.
Oh, the continued situation.
It's pretty good, and you can up them as well. And you know what? I won't fault you guys either because some of the bosses are pretty tough. But there is a passcode to be invincible. Like if you just want to go through the game and see what it's like, I won't fault anybody for doing that for just seeing it because the soundtrack's really, really good. The kind of like what little cutscenes they have are almost like anime style. It's kind of interesting. So I don't know. There's a lot to like about this game, and it's one of those that I sort of feel like it's a sleeper hit. It's kind of a it's like, yeah, I don't know. Not a ton of people know about it, but it's a lot of fun.
Right.
I like that entrance music there.
Hell yeah. It's got some good bass. The soundtrack is good. If you've got a sound system, like crank it. And there's a lot, yeah, like you can see like all this parallax scrolling and stuff is really cool. And what's interesting is like after you get through the first phase of this, you start to descend through the clouds. Like the levels change kind of dynamically. And you can save weapons. So if you've got a high-powered laser, you can switch to a different weapon and keep your high-powered laser. So if you die, you still have it, kind of thing. Yeah, so you missed a beautiful transition. You'll see that when you play. But yeah, there's kind of like sub-bosses. There's big bosses. It's a lot of fun. I like this.
This one is like 51 minutes.
Yep, if you can get through it. So this is really cool too. Like when you're in the water, you move slower, but when you pop out on the above or below, you move faster. So there's actual like physics effects depending on where you're flying in the screen.
Nice.
There's some really cool stuff. It's great.
This game looks really good. One of the things about me that a lot of people don't know: shoot 'em ups, or like side-scrolling shoot 'em ups, are like my guilty pleasure. That and beat 'em ups.
Really?
Nice.
Beat 'em ups is like I don't play them very often, but when I do, it just feels so right. I just love them, and I just don't ever play them that often.
Yeah.
One, because most of the time when I play games, if I'm streaming, nobody ever watches them. But
yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, nobody really watches unless you're probably playing like an extreme bullet hell and you're doing amazing. Like nobody's probably, nobody wants to watch somebody die a bunch on an average shmup or something. Yeah. But
I do love them.
This is perfect because that's exactly what I tell people. Like for people who like those kinds of games, this is one that I'm like, barely anybody knows about it and is great. So I'm like, play that.
I'm gonna play this one on my arcade stick. I am. It feels arcadey.
Yeah, you should. So it's good. And so that's the other thing too. And you might want to do it, especially if it's your first time. In the menu, I think you can change the base set of lives. Like crank that up so you at least have some buffer room. Your life bar doesn't change, but the amount of deaths you basically have stays the same. And
yeah, I'm excited for this one. Definitely, it's been a while since I played any bullet hell, like mainstream bullet hell type of games. So a lot of these NES games and whatever we've been playing have had like a level here and there. This one's like full force. So definitely, man.
Yeah, this game's a lot of fun. I like it a lot. So I hope you guys will too, but we'll find out within a week, I suppose. Right?
Maybe it'll be the next S rank. Maybe Shadowloose is gonna have 2 S rank games.
I don't. You know what? I'm gonna be completely honest. I would love to see it in an S rank just so it gets more notoriety. I definitely think for 2 guys that have never heard of it, never played it before, it's gonna be a real hard sell on an S rank. I think if you fall in it and you like that kind of game, you might, be in a different boat. But I have a hard time seeing anybody getting it at an S rank. So
we'll see.
It's a fun game though. I love it, and I'm glad to kind of get it out there and get some other people to see it. So
it looks pretty fresh. Definitely excited to check this one out. And like I said, you guys already know. Me and all 3 of us had talked about it before. I because my dad only bought me one, not the other. I haven't played hardly any Super Nintendo games, so the more games, Super Nintendo games you guys throw at me, I'm excited for it because I've never played any of these before. So
and, this game just reminds me of a Sega Genesis game because I'm not even trying to say that, but like Genesis had more like arcade.
Well, one of the things I noticed,
Sega.
One of the things I noticed, and I felt when we were watching that little video you just showed. There's a game that came out for the Sega Genesis. I don't know if it came out for the Super Nintendo or not, but the Sega Genesis had a game called Biohazard Battle, which was a side-scrolling shoot-'em-up, which had almost the exact same feel. You had 4 different ships you can use, and it was the same thing. Each, depending on what color the power-up was depending on what your weapon was. And a little bit of that changing powers and stuff like that, and a little bit of the gameplay definitely reminded me of that. So.
You know what's funny? There's a guy on TikTok that I follow, and he's Portuguese, and he recommended that game, and I'm pretty sure I bought it for the Genesis.
Biohazard Battle. It's a pretty great game.
Are you talking about Stu?
Yeah.
Is his name Retro Stu or something like that?
Yeah.
He's a cool guy.
Well, what?
Yeah.
Are you Retro Lou or Retro Stu?
Stu.
Okay. I literally just found a guy like last week. His name's Retro Lou.
Yeah. Murdo, hey man, I tell you, if you like shmups, this is definitely one to like check out and play. It's a fun game for sure. So
nice. Yep. Well, that looks like we're winding down to the end of the wire.
That was a quick hour this week.
Yeah, it was good. Well, we had a great game we were talking about. And doing some good stuff here. G-Dub just stopped in. G-Dub, we're about to 86 it here on TikTok. Thank you so much for hanging out there, bud. You just missed the First Round Showdown podcast. We're about to break it down, man, but I appreciate you stopping in. Check us back 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every single Monday if you want to check us back next week. And we also stream our podcast games throughout the week.
Some of us do. I typically don't.
I will definitely stream this on the First Round Showdown TikTok for sure.
Well, my issue is when I stream games, they become about 50% harder than they normally are. And I'm already struggling to try to beat a game I've never even touched before in a week. I don't, because it's going to take longer.
I completely get that. So, but yeah, that looks like it's going to be it for us. Appreciate you guys being here. It's great to see you guys every single week as we do.
Tune in next week to watch us discuss Phalanx for the Super Nintendo.
Excited about it. Thank you guys so much for being here. We are out. See you guys.
See you.